Welcome to This Week in Westerly with your hosts, Ben Barber and Michael Niemeyer. Hey, Mike.
Hey, man. How's it going?
It's going well. I realized right before the show started that my polo was like inside out. Like as that opening video was playing.
Oh no. If you hadn't told me, I would have known.
That's I shouldn't have told you. Also, I'm a little delayed, am I not?
Maybe say something.
Hey.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. All right. I destroy this computer every week. So I'm not surprised by that. With video editing and whatnot. So I should probably switch to my other computer. While I do that, why don't you give us an update on what you're up to?
Sure. Well, this week we're just getting excited about all the new things that we can do. One of the things my family did this past week was Sunday Fun Day. It was the last one. Oh, and it was so nice to walk down the street without a mask on and to enjoy all the food and the music. And I just want to thank Lisa Kanicki so much and the Ocean Community Chamber of Commerce for putting that on. She was on here to talk about it a couple of weeks ago, and it turned out wonderfully. But just because that's over doesn't mean stop going to downtown. In fact, now we can go downtown more than ever. So I'm super excited to see everyone down there because that's where we're going to be on Sundays going forward. Also, speaking of Sundays, the Westerly ARC still has their protest at the old post office every Sunday from 10 to 12. April Dinwoody recently gave a talk at the SRIPA Community Talks, where she shared her personal journey navigating race and identity here in Southern Rhode Island. She is a member of Westerly ARC, and I'd encourage everyone to join her and everyone else involved at ARC on Sunday sometime. It really is just a wonderful community event. I know some people are intimidated by the idea of a protest. I know I got a little nervous the first time I went to something called that, but it really is just a nice little community event. I'd encourage everyone to go check it out. Let's see what else is going on. Just on a personal note, school is coming to an end. I know my daughter's very excited for summer. And what we have signed her up for is the Westerly YMCA Camp Watchhog. Make sure you get your kids signed up for that. Get their slots reserved because those are going to fill up fast. And boy, I can imagine kids are going to be excited to go to camp this summer after not being able to do it last summer. So
absolutely.
Yeah. I'd say those are the big three things on my mind.
Awesome. My internet is better now, I would assume.
Everything's perfect now.
Yeah. I have to clean out that's a to-do list for this weekend is to clear out my MacBook. It has 500 gigabytes of storage, and I fill that up once a month.
You know I wanted to mention the other thing that's on my mind is I'm going to see you in person for the first time in probably 10 years.
Something like that, yeah.
It's but mostly just since the pandemic. You're going to be the first person I've had over the house to you and the rest of your household to just hang out and do some fun stuff.
Absolutely, yeah. Now, we are I haven't told you about this yet. We are a little different breed. We will all be in hazmat suits. Just cause. So we'll all be in full hazmat suits.
Mm-hmm.
I know some people are comfortable with the masks, but we're gonna just full hazmat.
I respect everyone's decisions.
Thank you so much, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I'm excited. So who are we talking about? Who are we talking to today?
This morning, we're very lucky. We have Frank Thacker on. He's a retired clinical social worker. He's a level 2 certified nonviolent trainer. And he's a graduate of the International Nonviolence Summer Institute, conducted by the Center for Nonviolence and Peace Studies at URI. He and Jason Small have started a multimedia platform called the Daily Peacemaker to foster a culture of peace grounded in nonviolence. He's also the chair of the local Peace Poll Project. Ben, let's bring on Frank Thacker.
Mm-hmm.
Good morning.
Hey.
Good morning, Frank. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning. I'm fine, thank you. It's tough backstage there. You got to fix that place up a little bit.
I'm so sorry. I know that the green room is desperately in need of snacks and water for our guests.
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
Well, thanks so much for joining us. We'll get that cleaned up. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing quite well, thank you. And you guys?
Doing
Good
well.
to be alive, as they say, and moving forward.
Absolutely. So I was just reading through a bit of your resume there, and you have dedicated a significant portion of your life, it sounds like, to peace and nonviolence. I was just wondering, before we even start, if you could tell us a little bit about what inspired you to do that.
Well, wow, that's a long story. I was brought up in an Irish Catholic family that was very much devoted to service. And just through that and a bunch of events helped me realize, for me, the importance of trying to create a culture of peace. There's a thing called the Enneagram, which sorts you out into different, not levels of personality, but different types. And they have a number for each. And so I'm a 9, and their bailiwick, if you will, is a peacemaker. So it's sort of in my nature, to do that. So it's hard to like pinpoint one thing per se. I was in the seminary in the 60s, and there was a lot of movements around peace and equal rights and those types of things. So it's I can remember way back doing anti-nuclear stuff, and so I don't know if that answers it quite. It's hard to
hard to quantify.
Yeah, and to pinpoint an exact time. I can do that with. To me, there's a little bit of a difference between peace and nonviolence. Everybody wants peace, but nonviolence is a separate issue in a way. I don't think you can have peace unless you first are nonviolent, which is a lifelong journey. And what got me started on that road was I was playing in a hockey game. It was like a not semi-professional, but semi-organized league. And I remember that we were in the corner, and I don't know how much people know about hockey and stuff, but we're in the corner digging for the puck, and the guy from on the other team was holding my stick, which is illegal. And I got so mad, I realized, oh, Frank, you could really do some violent damage to this guy over a simple thing like that. And that woke me up to nonviolence, and I really said, wow, let me really find out what I can about nonviolence. And so that led me on this trail of studying nonviolence, those types of things. So I don't know if that helps.
Absolutely. And I find that so interesting that the event that turned you on to nonviolence, it was an inner awareness that you saw something within yourself first.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a good point. And I don't think you can do a lot of exterior nonviolent work unless you first get some type of inner peace yourself. That seems to be the most important step. And, I have what I find really helpful and what some of the stuff we mentioned on the Daily Peacemaker is the need for inner peace first and how to pursue that. So, yeah. Cheers.
You mentioned the Daily Peacemaker. I mentioned it at the top too. For folks who don't know what you're doing, could you share a little bit about that?
Yes. Let me see. So, quick history. Well, what we're trying to do is the notion of creating a peace, the culture of peace for me has to come from the bottom up. Ordinary people like the three of us. And so through a series of videos, podcasts, we're trying to reach ordinary people to get them interested in nonviolence, the inner peace, and then working towards nonviolence in their daily life. We're not trying to create people that lead protest movements and that, just ordinary people learning about how to live more non-violently today than they did yesterday. So, and it's a lot of it is education, trying to educate people around what nonviolence is, different practices that you can use to help you live more nonviolently. So we have a series of ideas on what to do. And the way it originated is there is a, I guess you'd call it a show or a podcast or a program. It's called the Daily Evolver, and it's the guy takes current events and looks at them in the context of and I don't know how familiar people are with what's called integral life or spiral dynamics, which are levels of growth in terms of one's awareness and one and it's the whole, it's fascinating. The guy is just he's really entertaining and he really knows the stuff. And so I somehow stumbled across that on the internet, I don't know, maybe 6 months, a year ago, and started watching. And I said, so that sort of started getting me thinking, oh, maybe I'll do something similar around peace and nonviolence. And so then I met Jason, as I think the article says, at the cafe. He was worked there part-time. We just started talking and hit it off, and I shared with him those ideas. And I knew he had some skills and interest in creating websites and stuff. So we just started working on it. He's fascinating what he can do, and the stuff that he knows, and he's really enthused about the project itself. It's something that really also speaks to him. So so that's how that started, and we're just going along doing that. Go ahead.
Oh, that's wonderful. Ben's showing the website here. It looks.
Yeah, he's a clever guy. Yeah.
Hats off to Jason. It's so fortuitous that the two of you met. Had you?
Yeah. It was. Yeah, and he is. I find it really creative. What I do is I do I don't know, a video. I guess that's what you call it. I send it to him, and he takes it and he finds, I guess you call it a graphic for the particular episode. Yeah, like that one there. So I just send him the video, and then he does that stuff with it, and he knows how to put it on YouTube. He created a YouTube page, a Facebook page, the actual website. So it's really I enjoy doing it. Really enjoy doing it. And at some point, we want to have, for lack of a better, guests and ordinary people around town, or in the area that have done some pretty amazing things, with their life and the pursuit of peace. And you can expand that quite a bit. Like what in the artist co-op. So last year we did a theme where the person that came up with the best artwork around peace would get a prize. So there's all education, especially in the schools and stuff. A lot of schools are teaching KA Nonviolence. There's an organization called Rhode Island Nonviolent Education, I think, or Rhode Island School Nonviolent, and they teach teachers how to use the steps and principles of KA Nonviolence in the classroom. As a way of helping the students get along and stuff. So there's lots and lots of areas which can be looked at as creating a culture of peace. Planting a garden. Something like amazing stuff. So I don't think people really get that. When what they're doing. You hear it all the time. Oh, I can't do anything. The world's a mess. But it's there's tons of things that you can do and probably are already doing that are sending out this energy around living more peacefully.
That's an interesting idea that people might be just subconsciously or just not knowingly already sending out that kind of nonviolent notion.
Yeah.
What could you tell us a little bit more about, like what do people do in their day-to-day lives that they might not even be aware is already working towards this aim?
Well, some of those things I just mentioned, just how we treat each other, and like a good example is someone cut you off in traffic. Your natural reaction is to throw them the finger or swear at them, and so as you start to learn about nonviolence, and it is a science. There's a lot of stuff that we need to learn about nonviolence, and as you get more aware of your own inner self and what you can do and not do to create culture of nonviolence. So if someone cuts you off, rather than cursing them out, maybe think, well, maybe they just got a call from the hospital that their spouse is there and they want to get there as soon as they can. Stuff like that, holding the door. How many people, when you leave a building, just look behind you to see if someone's right behind you and hold the door open? My wife the other day, she was at the grocery store and she couldn't reach the top shelf or something, and she was like struggling like that. And someone came by and helped her, got, that little thing. And, when someone does something for you, how good that makes you feel, and vice versa. When you do something simple as that for someone, that makes you feel a lot better yourself. So there's just so much going on around nonviolence and what humanity is learning about that. There's all kinds of studies now that are showing that our brains function better when we are into cooperating than into competition. So we're learning that there's a lot of people that believe that by our nature we're violent people, and that's being shown to not be true, both scientifically and all the things going on around the world that are good. know? So that's, I mean, I could ramble on here forever because there's so many different angles that you can look at it, you know.
I'm kind of curious what the I don't know if you pinpointed it or remember it, but what was the first nonviolent practice that you consciously integrated into yourself, into your day-to-day life?
Well, I don't know if there was a specific thing. If there are many theories, I guess you'd call it, or schools of thought around nonviolence in terms of what are the helpful things. So at the Institute at URI, they teach Kingian nonviolence, and there's a set of steps and principles. And so probably the one that resonates with me, or that I am most aware of, both within myself and within other people, is it basically says focus on the behavior of the person, not the behavior. So when someone does something, instead of calling that person whatever, a jerk, blah, 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 you look at their behavior and why did they do that, you know? So it really motivates you to not castigate other people. But, it doesn't mean that you accept their behavior or that you like it. But, your response should be to the behavior rather than to the person. And that's hard to do because by nature we, in my opinion, tend to castigate the other person. And it's interesting because when I do that to someone, I'm also on some level saying I'm better than that person. That person's a jerk, but I'm not, because I wouldn't do that. I mean, that's what I think goes on some level for most of us, and we're so conditioned in our world to react that way. So that was one. There's another one. It's the arc of the universe bends towards justice. So that gives me a lot of hope. A lot of people say that's crazy, it's naive, that's a long story of a friend that I was in the seminary with, that dialogue we had on Facebook way back, and he just said, "Frank, you're an idealist, you're naive, you don't know what you're talking about. I don't want to talk about this anymore." So that's what, I have a real belief and hope that we can create this culture in which we treat each other decently.
Do you think we're on a trajectory towards there? Because I know if you look at the news media, or just even just the general public opinion, people feel a little pessimistic. But if you look at the hard data, we're getting to be a more peaceful society.
Yeah.
How do you feel about what I've just said there?
Well, I think that what you said about if you watch the ordinary media and stuff, yes, because all they do is bad news. If one of the theories out of the Meta Center, which is a big nonviolent place in California, they have like 5 steps to help you live more nonviolent. And their first one is don't watch the national news. Get your news elsewhere. And they have a whole list of places to get the news. And if you, not you personally, but if one searches on the internet, there are so many good things going on in terms of groups and organizations. And so there's I guess your point, yeah, if you look at get swamped by the local news and stuff, it's mostly death and nonviolence and people killing each other and stuff. But that's not all that's going on in the world. Far from it.
Yeah.
So So it's where you get your news from, and where you find out all the good things that are going on. So,
gotta look for the good. Yeah,
I mean,
gotta look for the good. So,
yeah, and there's
soft
tons of
voice.
it. There's tons of it.
You've mentioned a couple of times in the program Kingian nonviolence, and I was just wondering what distinguishes Kingian nonviolence as a philosophy or a practice.
Well, the steps and principles are, there's 6 steps, 6 principles, and there's a lot of stuff they do. So it came out of, obviously, Martin Luther King Jr.'s writings and philosophy. They're all, I don't know that one is more, what's the right word, graphically different from another one, and they, like King, built upon a lot of the stuff that Gandhi had philosophized on. So I don't know that there's a whole lot of difference between different theories, and I don't even know if they're theories as much as different focuses on different aspects. Some might focus this, more than the other. It's interesting that the actual word, nonviolence, only came into the language in I think the 1920s. The whole of human history has shown that people have looked for peace and that type of thing, but the nonviolence, the word itself, and what I'm finding is that, and I don't know if it was in the article or not, but nonviolence is a science in the sense that there's a lot of research done on how well it works. There's a lot of knowledge that you can gain about nonviolence and how it works. It's also an art in that it's very creative. Different situations, it helps to be creative, and it's also a skill when you practice it in daily life. And I think the focus is shifting some from nonviolence being about nonviolent protests and large demonstrations and that type of thing, which are good and they have their place and they're needed. But I'm trying to shift the focus more to ordinary people, really coming to understand what nonviolence really is and the bits and pieces of it, even though many of us most people are pretty nonviolent. But there's something, about learning how to resolve conflicts nonviolently. That takes some knowledge and some skills. One of the videos podcasts we did was on the level, and Kingian nonviolence teaches us the level of conflicts, and we all know how they can escalate quite easily, and the ability to tune into a conflict and then intervene before it gets too high, is it's a skill, and it's an awareness that, wow, you can sense it sometimes, between two people or yourself with someone where, the intensity of the anger or the disagreement is getting hotter and hotter, So if you're in a discussion or argument with someone and you begin to sense it within yourself, you can just say, well, let's, take a time out, or maybe we can discuss this later, or, so there's a lot of different stuff around that. And kind of along those lines, the whole, a lot of people hear nonviolence as passive, and a lot of it is tied to, at least in the Christian tradition, turn the other cheek, which is, well, if one really understood that, in that culture, when I'm in the position of power and you're Joe Nobody and you kind of insult me or something, and I get my buddies to, or the gods to bring you forward, and you say, you insulted me, you do that again, big trouble, and you kind of make a face or whatever, and I slap you, right? In that culture, you had to use the back of your right hand to slap the other person on their right cheek. The left hand was used for a lot of unpleasant tasks back then. So, boom, you slap, and the person turns their left cheek to you, you're faced. You don't know if you hit them with your right hand open, that's not going to work. So so the theory behind that, in my opinion, is it's a way of waking people up. So yes, it might not affect the more powerful person, but it might. And I say, oh, what am I going to do now? And his buddies will probably rag on him afterwards. Well, you got faced there. You didn't know what to do. So it might wake people up a little bit. There's a whole. Go ahead. I'm babbling on here.
It's self-awareness in the moment and just breaking the moment in a sense, because there's an expectation of how it'll play out, and
exactly
you're being creative with it.
Yes. Yeah. And you can start to learn those things and beginning to practice them in your own life.
You've mentioned it's a skill, it's a practice, and like any skill and practice, that requires a teacher. And we're so thankful that here in Westerly, that gets to be you. Thank you for doing this.
No, you're welcome. There's a lot of other people behind the scenes, and what do you call it, the back room there, or backstage, doing this stuff. So yeah, and I enjoy it. I really do. So,
we're so lucky.
Yeah. Go ahead, Mike.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We'll let you go enjoy your morning, but we were so thrilled to have you, and I really enjoyed speaking with you.
Yes. Well, thank you, and I enjoyed it also. It's always good when I do these things, it also gets me thinking about other angles and stuff and questions and that. So I really appreciate. So this is part of spreading the culture of peace. This little show you do, a big show, I guess. So it's you might not have thought about that, but it is. It's there's a good example for you.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah, you take care.
Thank you, Frank. Have a good day.
Yeah.
Appreciate all you do for Westerly and the world.
Thank you, and all you're doing too.
Thank you.
All right, peace.
Peace. Oh, that's wonderful. His website is the Daily Peacemaker, and he shares all that wonderful information there, and so much more. Frank Thacker, everyone, we're so lucky to have him.
Yeah, that was incredible. I'm gonna go after this and watch some of those episodes. And wonderful job to his partner Jason, I believe he said.
It's a beautiful website.
It's definitely a beautiful website. So congratulations on all of the success that you're having, Frank and Jason, and it's well deserved, and it's a wonderful, wonderful cause. So we are very fortunate to have you here in Westerly. Mike, closing thoughts for the week.
I was just going to say I'm a little speechless, but all right. Yeah. So next week we will be thrilled to speak with everyone. We'll have a guest on. We don't know who yet, but the week after we will have local journalist Nancy Burns-Passaro on to discuss local journalism and the Westerly Sun. Hey, if you want to come talk to us next week, send me an email at michael.t.niemeyer@gmail.com.
I can never find your email. Here it is.
Send me an email there. We'd love to have you on to talk about your business, to talk about your project, to talk about you, to talk about Westerly.
I'm excited for the Nancy Burns Fizarro interview. Have you ever gotten to speak with her?
No, just through emails. I read her, weekly. Obviously, she's probably one of my main sources of information about not just Westerly, but our guests for this show.
Right.
So
She's wonderful. She's a wonderful human being. She's a wonderful resource to Westerly. She's been very kind to us for years and years and years. Since the days of you and I doing theater together. She used to do very nice write-ups for us in the Sun, in the Guide, and she still has been ever since. And she's just a wonderful person who highlights, much like her article that I showed earlier of Frank and the Peacemakers. Frank and the Peacemakers, by the way, would have been the most epic band name.
it still could be.
It still could be. Frank, if you're listening backstage, what are your thoughts on licensing out your name, Frank and the Peacemakers, for a band? Because I think it's incredible. You can just give a thumbs up or thumbs down. You like the band name? No? Hold on, I'll bring him back on. Frank, you like the idea of a band name, Frank and the Peacemakers?
Well, I would rather have it. I like the idea, but I don't think you need to name Frank. Whoever sets up a band could do Ben and the Peacemakers or the Daily Peacemakers. I mean, I don't
There
have
you go. There you go. The Daily Peacemakers. Yes.
Yeah.
It's a website, it's a podcast, it's a video series on YouTube, and now if we find the right people, it's a band.
That's great. That'd be good.
All right. Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Mike. It's wonderful, and it's going to be a great week in Westerly this coming week, and I'm excited. I will see you in a little bit.
See you in a little bit. Have a good week in Westerly.